This is the mop up for June 10th, 2023. Are you happy? I'm happy. Trump's been indicted. The problem is he's happy too. Now, in the run up to Thursday's indictment, special counsel Jack Smith presented to a Miami grand jury evidence of how Donald Trump mishandled classified documents. According to an FBI agent, some of these documents contain nuclear secrets. I'm not quite sure what that means. And according to the indictment, Trump, in 2021, while he was no longer president, he told someone from his political action committee, this is in the indictment, he had a representative from one of his political action committees over, and he told him that Biden was conducting a military operation overseas that wasn't going well. And then Trump whipped out a map, a classified map, and he indicated to the other moron where our troops are, and then caught himself and said, Trump said, don't get too close to the map. I don't know. I don't know. Here are photographs the Miami grand jury looked at before they decided to indict Donald Trump. This is in the indictment. This is a photograph. This is the bathroom inside what is called the Lake Room at Mar-a-Lago. And right there on the left is the toilet and the documents behind the toilet. I've heard of document dumps, but this is a new one. Some people leave out magazines in the guest bathroom or a crossword puzzle. Donald Trump's idea of a good toilet read for guests is the nuclear capabilities of Iran. Here's another picture. The grand jury was shown this picture. These are boxes of government documents. These are boxes of government documents Trump took with him after leaving the White House. And this is not AI. This is from the indictment. These government documents are stored on the stage at Mar-a-Lago. Okay, it's not the stage. It's one of the smaller stages inside the white and gold ballroom. It's, for up-and-coming classified documents to get good, or where the more seasoned professional classified documents can pop in to try out their new classified material. But the really great classified material, where it's the audience's fault for not laughing, that you keep in the main room. Seriously, it was on a stage in a small ballroom, not the ballroom, but a ballroom at Mar-a-Lago. And you have to remember, Mar-a-Lago isn't Trump's private residence. He lives there, but it's a club, it's a hotel, it's for weddings and bar mitzvahs. And any drunk with a rented tuxedo can wander around. Now, do I think there's anything in those documents that if they got into the wrong hands would make America less safe? Look, I want him to go to prison. But I just don't think there was anything in those documents. We're told they contain nuclear secrets. What does that mean? We'll find out. Classified material is mostly classified to make people who work in our government safe, not us safe. People who work in our government are saved by marking documents classified. That way they can't be prosecuted for the many crimes they commit. Everything in Washington is classified. You have to make out a Freedom of Information request form to learn which defense contractors played golf with President Biden. I think maybe there's some information in those documents that Trump held on to. I think there might be some information in those documents that might have made a day trader rich 2 years ago. But these documents are all at least, 3 years old? I think they're worthless. I think. You know, we spend trillions of dollars a year on defense when we have no real enemies. But to scare the taxpayers, we have all these secrets, classified documents. We have the NSA and the CIA. And you know what the NSA and the CIA, you know what they do all day? They spy on our allies. They spy on us. We just discovered our government spies on pro-choice protesters here in America. We discovered that the FBI is spying on Black Lives Matter protesters. They're spying on you. They're spying on me. Why? Because we don't have any enemies to spy on. Really, a couple, but not really. So the government, to justify $1 trillion in defense that we know about, and then to justify the CIA and the NSA, that's a whole other budget. The government has to look busy. And so they spy on us, and then they keep it all classified. The government is upset that Trump mishandled, quote unquote, classified documents. It went on for 3 years. And look, I want Trump in prison for the rest of his life and his family, but he held on to these classified documents. But where's the security breach? Nothing happened. I'm not trying to sound like a Fox News pundit. I just feel that most classified documents are BS. Nobody really reads or cares about classified documents. Our own government doesn't read these documents. If they did, the World Trade Center wouldn't have come down. That being said, again, I'm not discounting the crimes of Donald Trump. But let's not get our hopes up here. I'm all for locking Trump up by any means necessary. Al Capone, they got him for taxes. By any means necessary, lock Trump up. And so on Tuesday, Biden's Justice Department is trying. Donald Trump has been ordered to appear before a federal judge in Miami this Tuesday, where he will be officially charged. He's floundering, flailing. 2 of his lawyers walked away from the case, James Trusty and John Rowley. They left Trump's legal team. They were supposed to help him. On Tuesday, they quit. And there is some good news for Trump. He'll be going before a judge on Tuesday who he appointed. Federal Judge Eileen Cannon down in Florida. Trump nominated her. And you might remember that early on in this classified documents case, she issued a series of rulings in his favor at first. The Justice Department's indictment was unsealed on Friday. The former president has been charged with 31 violations of the Espionage Act. The Espionage Act. He's been charged with 31 violations of the Espionage Act, another charge for obstruction of justice, 3 counts for withholding evidence, and 2 counts of making false statements, bringing the total number of charges filed against Donald Trump to 37. Now, the former president is accused of breaking 7 specific laws, 37 charges on breaking 7 specific laws, and I'm going to try to explain what he's accused of. Basically, this is the crime of a self-destructive lunatic who has to destroy everything he touches, including himself. Now, I don't know anything, and I'm hoping this time we got him, right? We keep thinking we got him. I'm not trying to tamp down my hopes here. I hope he's punished for treason. But, there's nothing Trump could hand over to Vladimir Putin that Putin doesn't already know. There's nothing Trump could tell Putin about what America knows about Putin that Putin doesn't already know we know about him. I feel, and I don't know anything, but I suspect this is just Trump doing what he always does, having to destroy. He has a compulsion to destroy everything around him, including Donald Trump. I have a friend, Rick Overton, great comedian, and he said to me years ago that there's a certain type of person, and I never forgot this, and this is who, I remembered what Rick told me, and this is who Trump is. Rick said, said to me, okay, you know that feeling when you go to sit down and you realize the chair isn't there? He said, you know that feeling of terror and uncertainty as your ass is just about to hit the floor? That's what these people live for. That moment right before you fall on your ass. And Rick Overton said some people don't feel alive unless they feel like they're just about to land on their ass. So I never forgot that. And as I come to be obsessed with Donald Trump, I think he's one of those people. I think he lives for the fight as well as the terror of falling on his ass. He lives for this. He is happy tonight. Trump is accused of mishandling 31 documents. All but one had been labeled classified. Now, I'm going to try to explain this. You have to remember that one of those documents isn't classified, and that's very important if you want to understand the case that Jack Smith is presenting. The mishandling of these documents, according to the prosecutors, violates a portion of the Espionage Act, which specifically forbids any member of the government from holding on to any national defense document that they are no longer authorized to keep. Now, the Espionage Act was passed during World War I by one of America's worst presidents, Woodrow Wilson. They keep updating the Espionage Act. This is the same act that they're going to try Julian Assange if Britain is cruel enough to extradite Julian Assange. Now, the Espionage Act, one of the provisions says no document pertinent to America's defense or any document that could give a foreign power an upper hand in its dealing with the United States can be in the possession of anyone unauthorized to keep it. It is a violation of the Espionage Act to show these documents to any third party, whether they are known agents of a foreign power or not. In other words, showing a map, a classified map that's at least a year old, to a political operative, he's obviously not going to call the leader of the country our military is fighting against. Doesn't matter. The Espionage Act says you cannot show these documents to anyone who's not authorized. Now, prosecutors say Donald Trump met with two writers researching an autobiography for Trump's former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, entered into evidence, entered into the indictment, is a recording from that meeting. CNN has heard it. They've listened to it. It was recorded during a 2021 meeting held at Trump's Bedminster, New Jersey golf course months after Trump was no longer president. And according to CNN, Trump can be heard on tape. And this is what they say in the indictment, that he's heard on tape telling the two researchers for Mark Meadows' book that he has in his possession a military report prepared for him, possibly a report about invading Iran. Trump is heard on tape acknowledging that he never declassified the report, then adding, and this is crucial, now that he's no longer president, he said, I can't declassify it. In other words, Donald Trump will not be able to claim ignorance of the law, and he can't claim he declassified the material. He knew exactly what he was doing when he waved those documents in front of those two researchers. He knew at the time he was breaking the law. He said so on the tape, according to the indictment. Does it matter that whatever was in those documents probably shouldn't have been classified? No. The same reason the speed limit should be 25 miles per hour instead of 15 in front of a fire station, but that's the law. And if you're looking for a reason to arrest a black man, you got it. The law is the law. So you're not allowed to show a classified document to unauthorized personnel Doesn't matter if the documents are meaningless. Now, the tape of his conversation with these two researchers is key because it's Trump saying, I didn't declassify these documents, which means, again, he is knowingly in direct violation of the Espionage Act. And according to the audio obtained by CNN and the indictment, Trump can be heard waving what appears to be the classified document and then telling the researchers, here, take a look. As I said earlier, all but one of the documents he's accused of mishandling were marked classified. Prosecutors, and that's important, that one document that's not marked classified could be key to the prosecution because Special Counsel Jack Smith is reportedly going to insist that the Espionage Act says it doesn't matter whether or not the documents were classified or not. You can mishandle an unclassified document, and that will rise to the level of a felony as well. All the documents have to do is contain vital information that is essential to our national defense, and you're in violation of the Espionage Act, classified or not, which is why Donald Trump's lawyers might end up, we're talking about classified material, right? I have a feeling Trump's lawyers might inadvertently end up doing a favor for the American people when this case goes to trial because they are going to try to prove that these documents are garbage, that most government documents marked classified are garbage, because most of the work being done in our military, for our military, over at the CIA, over at the FBI, over at the NSA, it's garbage. Most military documents are kept secret either to create the illusion we need to spend $1 trillion a year on defense, or to protect our various intelligence agencies from being charged with a crime for spying on our allies or on American citizens, like Black Lives Matter. Look, again, I'm not making the case for Trump. I've hated Trump since before most of you were born. I was raised in New York City. I can't stand Trump. I hope he gets locked up for life. I hope all his supporters get locked up for life. I'm a Democrat. I voted for Biden. But his instincts, Trump's instincts about the FBI, the CIA, and the Pentagon are correct. It's filled with a lot of self-serving, overblown browbeaters who like the taste of self-righteous power. If only Trump could carry his distaste for law enforcement to local police officers, he'd actually be performing a public service. But unfortunately, Trump only opposes the law enforcement agents who want to lock him up. He doesn't care about my civil liberties, just Donald Trump's. Again, Trump should be arrested. His entire administration should be in prison. But so should every single defense contractor, Wall Street banker, and hedge fund manager. They're all criminals. But instead of going to prison, the Justice Department makes them pay a fine. Corporations are people, says the Supreme Court. They're people right up until it's time to send them to prison. Then it's just a fine. So they're going to get Trump, I hope. They're going to get him on the Espionage Act. Good, lock him up. Again, I don't know what I'm talking about. All I know is what I read. I doubt he sold or gave any secret documents to Putin, but lock him up anyway. I doubt he did any damage to our national security, but lock him up anyway. Seriously, lock him up. But remember that George W. Bush invaded the wrong countries after 9/11. Knowingly, he knew he was invading the wrong countries. His vice president, Dick Cheney, earned millions off those invasions, offering no-bid contracts to his old company, Halliburton. And that was the company he left to become vice president. That was a company when he lied his way into Iraq. He owned millions of dollars worth of stock in Halliburton. He made a fortune off that war. Bush and Cheney committed crimes resulting in the deaths of at least 1 million people just in Iraq alone. It cost our government trillions of dollars. Nothing, not even a special prosecutor, not even a special counsel. Nothing, no indictments. See, Trump is just sloppy. Trump is sloppy. That's his crime. Look, I'm glad Biden is going after Trump. But special counsel Jack Smith should not insult our intelligence the way he did today and say Trump has to be prosecuted because we're a nation of laws. Again, I'm glad they're going after Trump, but don't insult my intelligence. Don't you dare tell me America is a nation of laws. I hope Trump dies in prison. I do. But let's be honest about what this is. These are show trials that are distracting. These are show trials that will allow our government to ignore the oil companies that are killing us. You all saw the smoke this week. Oil company executives should be locked up. They've committed many crimes, which I have enumerated on this show in the past. Putting Trump away for life isn't going to put the oil companies and the for-profit health insurance companies out of business. In fact, locking up Trump only serves to perpetuate the myth that this country works for everyone. It doesn't. Yes, lock Trump up. I hate him and the people who vote for him. I lock them up too. But he's just the shiny object dangled in front of us so we don't pay attention to the climate crisis, the eviction crisis, the homeless crisis, the health care crisis, and the concentration of wealth that has suffocated our democracy and our criminal justice system. According to reporting today in the Washington Post, prosecutors do not have to show that Donald Trump intended to pass any of these documents on to a third party. The crime is mishandling documents, not storing them properly, holding on to them, a type of willful negligence, a sloppiness that could make it possible for those documents to fall into a foreign adversary's hands, whether Trump intended those documents to fall in those hands or not. It's important to remember that you can violate the Espionage Act simply for not storing the documents properly. This is not a slam dunk for Jack Smith and the Justice Department. This is going to be a hard case to gain a conviction. What the prosecutors must prove is Trump knew that these documents, what they need to prove is that he knew the gravitas of the documents, okay? They don't have to prove that he was trying to pass them off to Putin. They just have to prove that these were important documents that were important to keeping America safe. Now, they're going to claim he knew this because after he left office, the National Archives and Records Administration, which is charged with protecting these documents, they kept calling Mar-a-Lago requesting them, and he ignored their requests, and then he received subpoenas from the Justice Department to turn them over. And even when the FBI searched his Mar-a-Lago home last year, according to the indictment, he still hid the documents from them. So he knew that the government wanted these documents. What the lawyers are going to prove, or try to prove, his lawyers are going to try to prove, is they shouldn't have wanted them. that they're not that important. If you've been told to hand over important documents, then you now know the documents in your possession are essential to our national's defense. That's what the prosecutors are going to claim. Refusal to turn them over is a violation of the Espionage Act. Doesn't matter that Trump wasn't going to sell the documents or hand them to Putin, or if they were going to sit in the basement or next to that toilet. He knew he had to turn them over, but he didn't. Trump is also accused of conspiring to keep the documents from the FBI during their search. According to the indictment, Trump asked his attorneys to lie about the whereabouts of the documents, to pluck them clean, hand over folders, but pluck out the important stuff. He's also charged with asking his lawyers to destroy the documents. He's charged with removing boxes containing the documents before the FBI arrived and relocating them to a place where the FBI couldn't find them. Trump is also being charged with keeping evidence from the grand jury, of hiding the documents so they couldn't be entered into the proceedings. If guilty, according to the Washington Post, Trump faces hundreds of years in prison. Now, you're going to hear on Fox News that his mishandling of the documents is no different from Joe Biden's or Mike Pence's mishandling of classified documents. Well, it's incredibly different. Biden and Pence brought boxes home containing government documents that were labeled classified. The truth is, our government does overclassify everything. Biden and Pence most likely didn't know the documents were classified. They probably didn't even know what was in those boxes because their staffers were in charge of packing up their belongings and moving them. It's different from Trump because the minute both men were informed that those documents had to be returned, they immediately complied. Trump did not. Even after the FBI searched his home, Trump continued to hide the documents. So what are you dealing with here? I don't think you're dealing with someone who wants to give Putin secrets. You're dealing with the mind of a pathological liar and criminal. This is a man who gets off flaunting the law. He gets a jolt thinking he's outsmarted people. Instead of being upset by these indictments, for Trump, this is a notification that there's a new Wordle to play because it's a game. Trump likes to win, and he has always won in the courts. It makes him feel like a man. During the first impeachment, Congressman Adam Schiff warned that if Trump's not removed from office, Trump will think he can get away with anything. And Schiff added, who knows what he'll try? Who knows what he'll try? Well, we found out what he would try during the second impeachment. He tried to overthrow the government of the United States. He tried to stay in office despite not being reelected. He sent an army of goons to the Capitol on January 6th to hang Mike Pence. And then he got away with that, too. The Republican Senate still refused to vote symbolically to remove him from office. The Mueller report clearly states that Trump could be prosecuted for covering up his relationship with Russian oligarchs during the 2016 presidential election. Mueller didn't recommend an indictment for one reason, because it is official Justice Department policy that you can't indict a sitting president. But in that report, in the Mueller report, he offered a pathway towards an indictment for a cover-up, leaving it up to Attorney General Bill Barr to decide whether or not to indict. Barr twisted Mueller's words into an exoneration, which the Mueller report was not. And this emboldened Trump. So, why would Donald Trump hold on to secret documents? Because he can. The same reason there are 30 credible sexual assault accusations against Donald Trump. Donald Trump takes what doesn't belong to him. He's a rapist. The fact that he can't have something makes him want it. And he wants to try to get away with it. So I'm giving Trump the benefit of the doubt and say Trump wasn't going to sell these documents. I think he just wanted souvenirs. Or like I said, he's really sick in the head and he wanted to see what he could take and get away with. We all know people like this. You're probably working for one. They do bad things because it makes them feel strong and powerful because they can get away with it. These people have no gifts. They have no other interests. All Trump has is the con. He doesn't read, he doesn't garden, play music, or paint. He's not even smart enough to make exciting business deals because nobody trusts him. And he's no good at business deals. All he's got is the con because he's stupid and he needs to feel smart. And the way many stupid people get to feel smart is by thinking they got something over on someone. He hates it that James Comey, Adam Schiff, and Jack Smith think they're so smart. So these indictments that we're so happy about, he welcomes them as an opportunity to prove he's smarter than the entire United States Justice Department combined. Tonight, Donald Trump is not scared. He's alive, and he still gets to run for president. He wakes up every morning with even more purpose. Beat DeSantis, beat Merrick Garland, beat Jack Smith. He's in his element. This is where he thrives. Have the Fulton County, Georgia attorney, the DA, indict me for election tampering. I'll fight you all. That's what he's thinking tonight. Trump should go to prison for violating the Espionage Act. But these documents, I'm guessing, should never have been classified. The Justice Department, here is the real issue. The Justice Department says it's official policy not to indict a sitting president. I'm hoping this trial proves that sitting presidents and former presidents should constantly be indicted. The job of president should not be so important that he can't be indicted while he's in office. And the Justice Department's immunity from prosecution gives a sitting president too much power to seize even more power. Because the Justice Department doesn't prosecute sitting presidents, it was that much easier for Donald Trump to try to change the 2020 presidential election. The Justice Department was called in and asked to help steal the election, and they couldn't prosecute him because it wasn't their policy to prosecute a sitting president. It's time to move the Justice Department out of the executive branch. It's time to change this policy. There is no law on the books that says a sitting president can't be indicted. It's just the policy of the Justice Department. It's a wrong policy. The classified documents Trump took home with him are bullshit because the job of president is bullshit. He's the commander-in-chief, but all wars are bullshit. The military and the police, they don't keep us safe. They don't. They keep defense contractors and landlords safe. Nobody's attacking us. And if they're going to attack us, spying on American citizens and Black Lives Matter protesters isn't going to stop it. Prosecute Trump, but prosecute the bankers who crashed our economy. Prosecute the healthcare executives who rip off Medicare, and instead of making them pay close to $1 billion in fines, instead make them go to prison. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Republican Florida Senator Rick Scott. Prosecute Trump, but prosecute Rick Scott, who ripped off Medicare for $1 billion when he ran his healthcare company, and all he had to do was pay a fine. And then it freed him up to go run for Senate and get elected. He rips off Medicare to the tune of $1 billion. He should go to prison. not pay a fine and then get elected to the Senate, warning us that Medicare has to be privatized because it's running out of money. It's running out of money because Rick Scott stole it all. Lock Donald Trump up. Lock him up. Lock everybody up. I believe in law and order. Law and order for everyone. We're locking up the wrong people. 2.5 million Americans behind bars. Empty out, get rid of all the nonviolent offenders and fill them with rich white Republicans. I'm David Feldman, reminding you to stay strong and protect the weak. If you're watching me live on YouTube, please join me for office hours right now. The link is in the description of the show. And please like this video. Please share it. Please subscribe to my newsletter. Thank you to the mods for keeping the conversation civil in the chat room. Once again, I'm David Feldman, reminding you to stay strong and protect the weak.